Who doesn't love a versatile side with their meal? Cornbread is versatile, but it's also delicious and hearty. There's at least a couple dozen meals that cornbread can be paired with. But is that store-bought box of cornbread making you sick? Is it worth the amount of money that you are spending? Today, we're going to find out if making your own homemade cornbread is cheaper and healthier than the box that you buy at the store. Hi there, I'm Presley, and welcome to Thrifty and Thriving. On this channel, we help you determine what is cheaper, what is healthier, and what is worth it. Let's get started. So today, we are going to be making my favorite homemade cornbread. Now, I come from a big family. I have 4 kids. So buying in bulk is kind of my big go-to because it just makes everything easier. Now, my kids are picky eaters, and buying the cornbread at the store, it's too dry. And it's also, they don't like the taste. It's too bland. Now for this recipe, you're gonna need 2 bowls. The first one you're gonna need for all of your dry ingredients. And the second one you're gonna need for your eggs, your butter, and your oil. Now, the first thing is you're gonna do a cup of flour. And then you are going to add your cup of cornmeal. Now I buy the Pioneer cornmeal. I feel that it's cheaper and better priced for 5 pounds. Again, I have a big family. I am constantly buying food and constantly making new things. All right. After a cup of cornmeal and a cup of flour, you are going to do a 1/2 cup of sugar. Now, me personally, I don't use the whole level of sugar. I use a little less than a 1/2 cup. Not like my kids need any more sugar than they already get, right? Okay, after that, you are going to add in your 3 teaspoons of baking powder. Now, this one I also use a cheaper brand. I use Great Value. After you've added your 3 teaspoons of baking powder, you are going to want to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now, many people like to use iodized salt. I personally, myself, am a big fan of the pink Himalayan salt. Pink Himalayan salt is supposed to be a lot healthier for you than iodized salt is supposed to be. All right, once you have mixed all of your dry items into a bowl, in the other bowl, you are going to want to add all of your not dry items. So here we have 3 tablespoons of melted butter. Now I use Country Crock plant-based butter, but as I am further learning about the ingredients that I use, I learned that it's very high in saturated fats, which can cause cardiovascular disease and autoimmune diseases. So I will be changing the type of butter that I use. From there, I am going to add a 1/3 cup of oil. I prefer olive oil. I know that everybody is different. Some people prefer canola, some people prefer vegetable. Okay. And then you want to crack your 2 eggs. Now eggs, I don't know about any of you, but eggs where I'm at are about 45 cents an egg, leaving me with spending $27 every time I buy 5 dozen eggs. Sorry about that. Side note, always wash your hands after you handle your eggs. Now that we have added our wet ingredients, we want to make sure that we mix them. And you want to make sure that you mix and whisk your eggs really well. And once that's done, You want to make sure that you add in make sure you get every bit of the egg and butter and olive oil. Make sure that you can. And side note, don't pull a Presley. Always preheat your oven. You're going to want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Now, one of the final things that we're going to do is we are going to mix all of our ingredients together. Now, I'm pretty lucky. My husband bought me the KitchenAid mixer, knowing just how much I love to bake. So now, we just want to make sure that we are properly mixing our ingredients. And here we go. Now, once you're done mixing, what you want to do is you want to have either a casserole or a no-stick pan. I prefer to use my casserole dishes because they have lids and I can store the leftovers that my big family does not eat, which is typically about half of a serving that I create. So that being said, if you're using a casserole dish, I like to use olive oil to just slick up the base of it so that the cornbread does not get stuck and burnt onto the glass. It makes cleanup a lot easier. Once you've done that, you want to pour in your cornbread. Okay, now once you have done that, if you had done it the right way, unlike me, you would have preheated your oven first and foremost. So now you would be able to stick it in the oven and you will bake it at 350 degrees for 30 to 35 minutes. While we are waiting, let's go over the health facts. Now, the standard box of the cornmeal mix for cornbread comes from a brand named Jiffy. Obviously, there are others. However, looking into the studies over Jiffy, the EWG, or the Environmental Working Group, does their studies based off of different products and the health that comes with them. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being really good for you and 10 being really bad for you, Jiffy Cornbread mix is rated 10. There are questionable ingredients. There's just overall, the product itself is not rated very good. The cornbread mix that I use uses a just fundamental baseline of your normal household ingredients. For the cornmeal, the best ingredients in there are your riboflavin. Okay. The best ingredients in there are your riboflavin, your folic acid, and your niacin, which are considered your B vitamins. They're good for your body. The only bad ingredient that I have found in the cornmeal itself is thiamine mononitrate, which can cause damage to your liver and your kidneys, and it connects to your fat cells, which often, in too much, can connect to your fat cells and cause you to gain weight. Obviously, we don't want that. This recipe itself contains a little under half of your daily recommended allowance of salt, which is a little high. You're only looking at about 2,300 milligrams of salt allowed per day, and this one's just a little under half. The other ingredient that is questionable, that again, like I said, I use but I will be changing, is the Country Crock butter. This butter has soybean oil, which is heavily processed and causes a risk of obesity, inflammation, cardiovascular disease, and autoimmune diseases. Other than that, in moderation, all of these aren't horrible for you. The final thing we're going to go over today is the cost per serving. Now, a box of Jiffy can range anywhere from 68 cents to $1, depending where you live. Where I'm at our normal Walmart, it's about 70 cents a box. And I use about 3 boxes for my family for one meal. Now that right there, you're looking at about $2.10. Once you add in altogether what you are spending between all of your ingredients, again, I buy bulk. I buy a lot bigger servings because I have so many people in my family and I'm always cooking dinner. The total for homemade cornbread is $4.31. Now I know that seems a little steep for one serving of cornbread. However, when you are looking at the health side of things, you're doing better when you're making your own homemade. Whereas with Jiffy, you're eating and consuming questionable things. So I would personally spend a little more money because then overall I can gather many more servings for what I'm baking for my family. So that's it for today. Thank you for making some cornbread with me, and I will see you guys next time.